The static hissed like a living thing, flickering across the screen of Daniel's old CRT television. It was 2:47 a.m., and he hadn't meant to fall asleep on the couch again. But there it was, that same strange interference that had been plaguing his TV for weeks. He reached for his phone, thumb hovering over the record button. Just in case. Then the screen pulsed. A face materialized in the snow-like distortion, pale, gaunt, a woman's hollow eyes staring through the glass. Her lips moved, but the voice that crackled through the speakers wasn't hers. It was something older. "Help me." Daniel recoiled. The words slithered out between bursts of static, warped yet painfully clear. His phone kept recording as the woman's image flickered, her mouth stretching too wide. Asterisk, you have to find it. Before he does. Asterisk. Then the screen went black. The next morning, Daniel played the recording back. Same distorted face. Same voice. But this time, his blood turned to ice when he noticed something new, asterisk his reflection in the TV screen, asterisk and behind him, in the darkened living room, a shadow standing just out of focus. He wouldn't sleep for days after that. Not after he learned about Sarah Milligan, a local woman who vanished in 1987. Not after the police found her diary under his floorboards, pages filled with the same phrase. Asterisk, he's in the static. Asterisk. The basement smelled of damp concrete and burnt wiring. Paranormal investigator Mark Vance adjusted his camcorder's focus, training it on the vintage 1980s television he'd bought at a garage sale. The seller had warned him it had a mind of its own, but that's exactly why Mark wanted it. Asterisk, is anyone there? Asterisk, he asked, holding his digital recorder toward the screen. The TV showed only static, until the pattern suddenly shifted, forming a swirling vortex of black and white. A whisper leaked from the speakers. Asterisk, yes. Asterisk. Mark's pulse spiked. He'd conducted hundreds of EVP sessions, but never with a response this clear. He leaned closer. Asterisk, what's your name? Asterisk. The static convulsed like a living thing. Then, a guttural voice, far deeper than any human's, boomed. Asterisk, you know me. Asterisk. The camcorder's light flickered. Mark stumbled back as the temperature plummeted. On screen, the static morphed into a grotesque face, hollow eyes, a lipless mouth stretched in a grin. Ask again, it taunted. Mark's hands shook as he played back the footage. There it was, his voice asking questions. The demon's replies. But what made his blood freeze was what the camera had caught behind him, a shadowy figure, tall and jagged, reaching toward his shoulder. And the last words on the recording, whispered in his own voice, though he never spoke them. Asterisk, let me in. Asterisk. The baby monitor hissed with white noise as David rocked his newborn son to sleep. Across the nursery, the old television, a relic from his childhood home, flickered to life without warning. The screen remained dark, but from its speakers came the unmistakable sound of a child giggling. David froze. His son, only 3 months old, couldn't laugh yet. Asterisk, Daddy? Asterisk. The voice was crystal clear. A little boy's voice. David's blood turned to ice as the TV screen finally illuminated, revealing a distorted home video, a family picnic under oak trees he didn't recognize. A woman who wasn't his wife waved at the camera. And there, sitting on a checkered blanket, was a dark-haired boy of about 5. You left me here, the boy whispered through the speakers, his face now pressed against the TV's glass as if trying to push through. Asterisk, why don't you come find me? Asterisk. The screen went black. In the silence that followed, David realized 2 horrifying things. First, his actual son was now crying hysterically in his arms, but with the raspy, choked sobs of an adult. Second, the wallpaper behind the TV had changed. The pattern was identical, except for one detail: where there should have been rockets and stars, there were tiny, hand-drawn skulls. And written beneath them in crayon, barely visible. Asterisk, I waited so long, Daddy. Asterisk. The emergency broadcast tone shattered the silence of Emily's apartment at 3:17 a.m. She jerked awake as her television screen flooded with that familiar, sickly yellow, the one reserved for tornado warnings and amber alerts. But the words scrolling across the screen turned her blood to ice. She is coming for you. 11:06 p.m. Lock the doors. Emily fumbled for her phone to check local alerts. Nothing. Twitter showed sleeping city updates. Outside her window, the neighborhood remained still. When she looked back at the TV, the message had changed. Too late. She's already here. The screen flickered to black, then illuminated again, showing her own apartment in real time. But in the reflection on her blank TV screen, Emily saw it, a woman in a soaked white dress standing behind her couch. Where her face should have been, there was only static. Then the broadcast resumed with a final message. This is not a test. You died at 11:06. The TV switched off. Emily's phone buzzed with a notification, a weather alert from 11:06 p.m. that night, warning of severe storms. The exact time she'd fallen asleep watching the news. The exact time the static woman had first appeared in her peripheral vision. And now, dripping water sounds were coming from her hallway. The VHS tape smelled of mildew and something metallic. True crime podcaster Jason Caldwell threaded it into his vintage player, unaware the footage would rewrite a decades-old cold case. The tape showed nothing but static for 17 minutes, until the screen suddenly cleared to reveal a man in a blood-stained shirt sitting where Jason now sat. They never found her body, the man whispered, his face twisting into something inhuman. Asterisk, but you will. Asterisk. Jason's recording equipment surged to life, capturing every distorted word as the man on screen described the murder in gruesome detail, details never released to the public. The killer's eyes locked onto Jason through time and static, his final words dropping like stones. Asterisk, check your basement walls. Asterisk. The screen went black. Jason's blood ran cold when he realized three things simultaneously. His basement did have unexplained cracks in the concrete, his house was built in 1989, the year of the murder, and the shadow now stretching across his wall didn't match his own silhouette. Some confessions, it seemed, couldn't stay buried.